it's been way too long. But hey, now it's time to get back in the swing of things. So today we're going to be doing a Q&A. I had put a post out on Instagram. I think we got about roughly 6 questions or so. So I'll be able to take a little time and be able to answer each question as extensively as possible without going overboard. But so in the background, I just figured I'd put some little gameplay you'll be seeing. For those who are curious, this is a game called Panther VR. I had backed on Kickstarter. Something a little different because obviously the rest of the videos are all going to be airsoft gameplay, so I figured it might change it up and have something a little entertaining to watch in the background while I talk. So to start it off, the first question comes from Sick Chicken, and he asked, what was your first gun ever? This is a crazy one to think about. The first gun that I had ever gotten that was an actual, a decent AEG or a decent airsoft gun that wasn't a, Springer from a flea market that, pretty much 85% of all airsofters started off with. It was by a company called Cybergun, and it was the FAMAS F1, I think, F1 or A1. I loved the thing at first. Obviously, it was very early on into my airsoft career, so of course it was so cool to have such a unique gun. No one else ever had one. It did often get a lot of attention, and so it felt really cool, and it was a lot of fun to own. And it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad of a gun. Now it was a pain to take apart, because that gun, it wasn't just, most guns nowadays, they are designed to mimic the real steel counterparts. And so obviously, like with an M4, you can just remove 1 or 2 body pins and you can break the gun open, get to the core internals relatively easy. With this FAMAS, I took it apart once, or at least tried to, and it was so many body pieces, like plastic body pieces that were held together by small screws. So that was a pain. I never did get to do any tech work on it. That was my first gun. So the second question is by Dangercade. I think I'm saying that right. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Ever plan on making a tutorial on how you made your helmet and hood, helmet/hood, because it's killer? I won't be able, obviously, because the helmet is complete and I did not anticipate making a tutorial video on it. I can't really make a start to finish tutorial. I may be able to make a video in the future kind of explaining how I made it. That's very much a possibility. I did manage to get a few videos, some of the steps I was taking in my design. Make something that gets you more of insight into the whole design philosophy of the helmet and how I went about pursuing it and eventually accomplishing it. The helmet has performed greatly now. Early on in its early stages, when I'd first kind of completed what I wanted, it had a lot of issues, mainly with ventilation and the goggles fogging up. But recently, after I added a couple pieces on the inside of the helmet to kind of channel heat, if you will, I installed a new pair of goggles by Vulcan. After I did those 2 things, there's nothing I would change, except for a few aesthetic things, but I'll get to that eventually. You won't even know the changes when you see them. And so far, this helmet has checked every box that I wanted in that. So all in all, I would say it was a massive success, and I'm very proud and happy about it. So next up on our questions comes from Tammy Grapes 23, and she asks, why do you like to play in this ridiculous heat and humidity? Well, it's not so much like, but I think how you could look at it is almost a testament to my dedication and passion for the sport. The fact that, you rarely in life do you ever get to choose your battlefielding conditions. So for me, it's the fact of I love this sport, always have been doing it for pretty much over 10 years now. And so no matter what the weather or conditions are, I'm going to go and play and pursue my passion and interests in this sport. I mean, just that's it, no matter the conditions or the weather. The ideal temperatures would be like 70 degrees on a 70, maybe 80 degrees. 80 degrees on a cloudy day. I'm an overcast person. I do enjoy sunny days, but I also enjoy overcast days even more because the direct sunlight is less harsh on you. And I mean, little to no breeze, maybe a slight breeze, because obviously as a sniper and a marksman, wind is a factor that you have to take into account when taking your shots, even in airsoft. So that's kind of how I would choose to answer it. Let it be more of a testament to my passion for the sport. Next question is by Forged Sharp, and he asked, is Bad Karma Airsoft still open, or did they sell the field? So I actually had to go and do a little bit of research. I went on to Bad Karma's Facebook page, and they had I completely missed this because I actually deleted my Facebook for a little while, but once I started getting back into being a content creator, and when I started my PC building business, I had to create a Facebook for business related reasons. So I ended up getting on there and checking out Bad Karma's Airsoft page, because they kept that honestly more updated than their website most of the time. But they put out this post. It was a big, long post basically talking about the beginning of the legacy that was Bad Karma, the dream and the vision that they had. And I won't read a lot of it, but I will kind of read the last few paragraphs that they had. And what they said was, all good things, however, must come to an end, and the field is no different. As of today, the field now belongs to someone else, a private individual who has purchased the land for their own use now. The field and everything we accomplished there now fades into legends. What was is no more. Thank you all. We wish you the best life and pray you always fondly remember your times with us. The core team, Bad Karma Airsoft, come get you some. So when you read the whole post, and especially that last statement, it sounds like to me that Bad Karma is sadly gone. It no longer exists in the realm of the airsoft community, as the land was purchased by a private individual that, I mean, we don't know what their intents are. So, I mean, for all we know, that individual could come back and essentially reopen the field, maybe under a different name. But we don't know. We're flying completely blind here. And, I mean, I'm sure that the person that bought this probably bought it for the land and not so much what it was. That, again, this is all just speculation. Take it with a grain of salt. But as of right now, in the current state that we're in and what I've seen, it looks like Bad Karma has sadly gone. Because even if you go to their website and you look up on the Playdate calendar, it's completely blank. On that note, though, I will plug in a little bit of a advisory note, I guess. There's another field that I have come across called Misfits Airsoft. It is between Mount Juliet and Gallatin, more towards Mount Juliet. It looks almost like it could be a potential replacement for Bad Karma Airsoft. It's sitting on 40 acres of land. It is... it seems to have some forest and some urban environments. So I'm looking forward to trying that out. And I'll more than likely make a video of it, hopefully, and get it up here for you guys to see and make your own assumptions. And maybe at the end of the video I'll kind of insert my own opinions on what I believe is good about the course and what kind of my take is on it. Would definitely like to draw some more attention to that, because we definitely need we definitely need an airsoft field like that in the eastern side of Nashville, if you will, since Bad Karma has sadly faded into legend. Next question comes to us by Chanchus. I hope I'm saying that right. Where did you get the inspiration for your suit? So, this is the idea for the suit was I needed a change in uniform function. The biggest problem I had with camouflaged BDUs was they were way too restrictive. They were restrictive. You couldn't be flexible at all in them. They were a little tougher to move in. They added some resistance that I wanted to get rid of. Plus, they don't ventilate really well. They almost trap heat in rather than allow heat to escape. And it makes sense because BDUs are made out of a thicker, more durable material. So that was one of the drawbacks, but I was willing to sacrifice that to get what I needed for me to perform better in the sport. The design philosophy started around what I needed out of a uniform and a new suit. And the first thing was breathability and flexibility. I wanted to have little to no resistance from the suit that I was wearing, or at least the undersuit, that is, because there's not much you can do about the tactical gear you put on top of it, although that has very little resistance too. So that's kind of where the idea started. I looked around and I found out what I wanted for the undersuit, which was a workout compression uniform, if you will, that obviously by the name people typically use to work out, but this uniform actually ended up being exactly what I needed, because as it being kind of like skin tight, almost kind of like a body glove suit almost, which was what I was looking for, because it allows your skin and your body to breathe. And plus, the material that this is made out of also it feels like it amplifies the cooling ability of just the slightest bit of wind. Or even when you're just walking and moving, it makes that wind that passes through your clothing feel honestly 5 to 10 degrees cooler than the air probably actually is. And so I had acquired this uniform, and I tried it on, and I liked it, but it felt like it was missing something. And plus, as skin tight as the uniform was, it definitely showed off some areas that I did not want to put out there, front and back. So I started brainstorming about what I could do, kind of fix that. And another concern I had was I wanted to be able to have something on the surface that, again, will not limit my flexibility or my ability to move, but it would almost provide a sort of protection to the undersuit, kind of like a layer over the undersuit that will offer some sort of protection, because obviously the material that these compression uniforms are made out of are relatively, they're stretchy, but they're not very strong. So that's when I had gotten the idea for the combat tunic. Now, the combat tunic took inspiration from multiple places. The chest piece where the buttons are, was inspired and very reminiscent of 1700, like naval captains, if you will, because they always had all the buttons on the chest, and the chest had a very formal form of presentation, if you will, and the lower half that hangs down, well, the back half was also related to that as well, but the lower half, and especially on the front, the parts that go down the front of the leg as well as the groin area, were somewhat inspired from, I kind of took inspiration from multiple places. Two of the biggest things I was looking at that I really admired the design from was a concept art for actually one of Starkiller's uniforms in The Force Unleashed, and also Shay Patrick Cormac's outfit from Assassin's Creed Rogue. I liked the shape and the design of the uniform from The Force Unleashed, but I like the presentation and the more historical, but also could be taken to look modern design of Shay Patrick Cormac's outfit, along with, again, and of course, Shay Patrick Cormac, for those who haven't played the game, he is alive in the 1700s around the 7 Years' War, which is obviously where you see a lot of these military naval outfits. So that's kind of where the inspiration for the outfit came from, because I personally enjoy the kind of semi-looking trench coat look that's kind of going on, but also the formalness of it. And again, just the all over uniqueness was obviously one of the biggest things I was going for. Now, the helmet, I kind of stated earlier what the design philosophy around that was. It was, again, the function. The function was the forefront of all of these projects that I've taken on. So for the helmet, it was I wanted to combine the goggles, the mask, and the hood all together. And the design was kind of just like, I sort of made it up as I went. Which is kind of how a lot of the things I create honestly come out looking so unique, because sometimes I'll have a general blueprint and picture in my mind of kind of what I'm going after. And then what I'll do is I'll start to work towards that. And then along the way, maybe I'll need to change something here, maybe I'll need to add something there. And then obviously you guys have seen the final product. Almost a complete failure. The first hood I did for the helmet, I did not like. I was following my old design philosophy that actually created my first hood that I used for years, and that a lot of you guys have seen and have known me for. And that was actually created by a sock hat and safety pinning two bandanas together. That's what created that hood. And I was almost trying to follow that same philosophy. I had crafted that by hand and sewn it together, cut and sewn it together. And then I pinned it to the helmet and got it all situated. The first rendition of the hood I did not like. There was a problem where the hood came down too far in front. So if you were laying down prone or even crouched low enough and you're trying to look up, that hood would cut off a lot of your upper peripheral vision. So I had to change the design of the hood. So I ended up ripping it off and cutting and sewing specifically shaped pieces and stitching them together in a way that brings together the design that I now have. It was very difficult, and actually, if you look closely at the hood's design, it's not one piece that makes the hood, it's actually two pieces, which is a funny callback to the first hood I ever created, because it wasn't one piece, it wasn't just one bandana that made the hood, it was actually two, and they actually serve the exact same purpose, where the top bandana covered the top of the head and the back bandana covered the back of the neck, as well as the kind of the sides of the neck almost. And that's completely unintentionally what happened with the new hood design, because I had cut the piece that went on top. It was too short on the sides, and it wasn't too short on the back, but I had made the hood a little bit bigger on the back than I had intended to. So I actually ended up pinning up the top piece in a way to where it reduced the size of the hood on the back. And then I also created a second piece to put on the underside of the helmet that again covered the sides and the back of the neck. It was completely unintentional, but somehow the design came out as a identical callback to the first hood I ever created. And then the mask, I knew I wanted to use a mesh mask again. I wanted to maintain my appearance as best as possible. And I felt like just having where it was the half cloth, half mesh on the center, I felt like it was changing the look a little more than I would have liked it to. And also, I was able to have more design freedom with a full mesh mask, so that I could mount that cord that runs along the front that's also sort of iconic. I also had more design freedom with how the mask ventilated, and I was also able to add on that piece on the front that you can see going down the front, which is actually a piece of Kydex, which is the same material that Kydex holsters are made out of. Fun little fact. The core idea around it was based around function. Then came appearance and then execution, and then obviously the small changes that came along the way. That brings you the final product that is what you guys see today. I'm really proud of it, really happy with it. So the next question comes to us from ODST Romeo, and he asks, any project with your Barrett? Now I had to reach out to him and ask him what, I just wanted him to clarify what this question meant exactly. And basically his question was, do I have any projects going on with the Barrett? The short answer is no. As of right now, I don't have any plans to do anything extra with the Barrett. I mean, the Barrett is kind of in the state I always wanted it to be in. I have no reason to really change it. There are some minor things I want to do with it. The only minor things being gate Titan MOSFET for it. Hydro dipping is something I eventually do want to get into, and if I do, I may end up hydro dipping the M82. I do enjoy the color that it is now, but it just kind of depends. Alright guys, that wraps it up for this video. Thank you so much to all the people who submitted their questions over on Instagram. If you're not following me over there, you can find the link in the description down below. And I will catch you guys on the next video. See you out on the field.